What were some of the initial challenges that you faced when establishing your clinic in Dubai, and how did you overcome them?
I think there were two main challenges. One was to make a decision between whether I wanted to set up a clinic on my own or maybe hire rooms in an established clinic setting, pay for the usage of the IT and the premises and the secretarial support. So these were the two choices. And I chose obviously to do the latter, which was to go into an established clinic setup and hire the rooms and the IT and secretarial support. So that was one challenge. Obviously, if you wanted to set up your own clinic, the challenges are many, many more in terms of getting licensing, getting attached to insurances, and things like that. The second challenge was obviously to get the patients to come to you. Most patients would Google, see a hospital, and go straight to the hospital. Many would Google symptoms or the disease or the specialty. Again, things that come up are usually the hospitals and larger clinics, etc. So, getting your name out there as an independent practitioner was the second challenge. So, what could I do in terms of marketing myself? These are the two main challenges, really.
How do you approach hiring and retaining skilled administrative and medical staff?
Obviously, I had a few years, nearly 8 to 9 years of working in the hospital setting in multiple hospitals in the area. So during that time, yeah, you come across good admin staff, nursing staff, etc. I didn't really need to hire a whole team because, like I said before, I went into a clinic that had secretarial IT support, receptionist support, but I needed a nurse come PA, so to basically run your schedule, do the bookings, interact with patients and patients' carers on my behalf. So how I went about hiring them was my personal experience. They are people I worked with. So I was lucky enough that I had shortlisted a couple, and both were interested in moving out of the hospital setting into a setting like that I have now in a private clinic. Obviously, we interviewed them, and the one I hired had better communication skills, was a little bit more dynamic, and used her initiative to do things. So we hired her. So yeah, basically personal contact, yeah, rather than looking at hundreds of CVs.
Yeah. And what were some of the traits that, I mean, you kind of meant into a little bit of detail, but what were some of the key traits you're like, okay, this is the person that I want to hire?
First of all, they had to have a knowledge of my specialty. So I wanted them to have worked for a length of period in vascular surgery so that they knew disease names and things as soon as they heard them and what that would entail in terms of investigation, treatment, etc. And obviously, we wanted them to be good at communicating, both with yourself, patients, carers, etc. Both verbal communication as well as emails, and in this region, there's lots of WhatsApp communication as well. And third, if they had an extra skills, like the person I hired is a certified lymphedema therapist, so she brings that skill. She also has done wound care courses and things, so that helped as well. So these are the things that I was looking for, and I was lucky to find a person that had all these skills, and she's been working really well. We've been working as a team very well for nearly 2 years now.
How did you define your medical practice brand, and what was the thought process behind building it and then communicating it to the public?
So when I made my decision to go private, I didn't move to the private sector before I tried to at least build a little bit of my brand. So even while I was still working for a corporate hospital, I started to build my own brand so that I could make that transition a little bit smoother. So yes, website was one of them, sending emails to lots of my patients, ex-patients, and saying that I was going to change my practice to this setting was another. Then I hired a couple of people to do my socials. So one of the big things here in this region is Instagram and TikTok and WhatsApp. I started by sending out emails through Chimp Mail to let my patients know that this is what I was doing, this is where I was moving to, and this is how it'll be set up, etc. And then the socials were set up, and we concentrated mainly on Instagram. The website was linked via the Instagram to the website. I also joined something called Doctify, which is specifically for doctors. And obviously, once you're in the private sector, you need to collect reviews. And that's something that I trained my nurse for. And so she was able to then ask every patient who came to give feedback. And we put that on my website, on Doctify, Instagram, etc. So this is how we went about marketing. But from what I've found since I've started, is also the person-to-person thing. Little group, for example, if you had a sporting group, or British moms group, or British dads group, or a 4x4 thing. So we tried to get into these little groups to see if we could put messages on them, either via individual contact, or actually getting them to link to the website or the Instagram page to say, yeah, I mean, these are the treatments we provide. And if you need it, why don't you contact us and we'll help you through it.
Can you share any strategies that you've implemented to keep patients engaged and also to encourage referrals?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all word of mouth. So what we kind of do is, if a patient came to me, say, to have their varicose veins done, and I've done a laser or whatever for their varicose veins, my nurse PA, she is in constant contact with. She asks them, obviously, can I keep contacting you to find out how things are? So she's in constant contact with them about how they're doing, any problems. So in the first week, on a daily basis, she sends them a WhatsApp. Patients are very engaging. As soon as they know there's somebody there that they can chat with, if there's anything, oh, I've got a little niggle here, which is probably all normal, but patients get worried, and they contact her, and they find that very, very, very useful. And then she keeps in touch. She has a spreadsheet. So once a patient's seen me again and I've discharged them, every 3 months or so, she contacts them again and say, hey, are you okay? Everything okay? And that seems to bring in referrals more than actually telling people, can you refer people to me? That brings in a lot of referrals, because patients feel that they're supported all the time. And anytime they can WhatsApp and ask and send pictures and say, is this okay? That makes a big difference, actually.
You've engaged a lot of different marketing channels to grow your private practice. What has been the most effective for you personally?
It's just been personal interaction, really, with patients, and with my nurse and PA interacting with patients. And also my marketing person, who engages in different social media groups as part of her job, and she engages with them in on these networks. So personal recommendation, and putting things out where, if somebody on a group asks, oh, I've got such and such a problem, who should I see? That seems to work a whole lot better and generate more people coming to the clinic, than actually just putting things on socials and saying, hey, this is what I do, and this is. So it's just the personal interaction, personal recommendations. And if you can create a wide network where people can recommend you, that brings in many more people.
Now that you've moved to the UAE, it's been a few years. What do you feel like has been the biggest change in your private practice? And what do you feel like the biggest differentiators between UK private practice and UAE private practice?
First of all, there are a lot of similarities. So you are your own brand. So patients have a choice. There are multiple people doing the same specialty that you're doing. And so you need to sell yourself in a certain way. One, you need to be available all the time. You need to be affable, and you need to have good results. That's the same wherever you are. We don't tend to do a lot of social media and all that in the UK, although I think now that's increasing. But here, social media is very important, especially because the population here is much younger. They seem to be more engaged in social media. But in both places, word of mouth is important. In the UK, the insurance companies sometimes direct you to go to certain places. Here, not that much. Patients seem to have more of a say in where they go, but obviously where their insurances are covered. And almost all the time, for what I've noticed here, is patients ask for specific physicians because they've heard from relatives, friends, social media, etc. While in the UK, there seems to be a little bit more of a trust of the system. So you call Aspire or you call a BMI and you say, yeah, I want to see a vascular surgeon, and you'd accept any vascular surgeon. Here, sometimes they ask, oh, where were they trained? Yeah, or what nationality are they? Things like that, male, female. Lots of that stuff is involved. So there are subtle differences, but I'd say there's more things in common than differences, really.
AI is obviously becoming a popular buzzword. For you specifically in the private medical space, how is AI affecting your day-to-day life and practice?
Yeah, you're asking an old man, but yeah, AI is I'm sure, going to have a big impact. At present, in terms of my practice, it doesn't have a whole lot of impact as yet. It does in terms of booking and triage and all that because of the systems that we use. It's got a big impact in imaging. Most of our imaging is now first reported by AI and validated by a radiologist or us. And I'm sure over the course of the next few years, it may move to completely AI because it's pretty accurate, as we can see. I mean, I don't have hard evidence, but from what I can see, if the AI says the patient got a pneumothorax, the patient tends to have a pneumothorax. But it's the little subtle things as to targeting therapy towards that individual patients that hopefully will make a big difference. So, for example, I'd say somebody came with gangrene in the toes, and you had to make a decision between doing a bypass and a stent or just taking the toes off, etc. And you do that by looking at what's wrong with the arteries, that's one, but also the patient profile, how old they are, what other comorbidities they have. And sometimes you have to choose a lesser invasive or a little bit less of a treatment for them because of the comorbidities. And there are gray areas where you don't know, are you doing the right thing? Are you choosing the right patient? I think AI will help in that. Certainly with diagnostics, it's going to be a big thing, and especially subtle changes here and there. AI might end up being much better. And of course, in triaging, booking, and getting patients to come to your clinic and see the right specialty, etc. That's going to make a big difference as well.
Yeah.
At present, I see it mainly in the imaging and in the admin, but I think it's in decision making, it's going to be a big support for the multidisciplinary team meetings. That's for sure.
So what is your approach to selling yourself as a doctor? Because obviously you've got to balance patient care also whilst running a business. So as yourself as a purely private practitioner, what is your approach to balancing that?
I think it's the same selling anything. Yeah. You want to sell quality and put a price on that quality. And also you want to sell the right thing to the right people. Especially in medicine, it's not about doing stuff just because you can. I don't think we should be loath to sell ourselves if you have the right approach in patient selection, practicing evidence-based care, and doing the right thing for the patient. And you have the expertise and the results to prove that. There's nothing wrong in selling that. In fact, that's a bit of an advantage for the patient because the patient then gets to know these are my options. I have more than one option. These are the results if I go to that physician, etc. So I think that's important. I also try and separate the cosmetic aspects of my specialty to the medical aspect. Most of our specialty is medical need to treat. But there are also cosmetic aspects like little varicose veins that are not really medically significant. Can you get rid of them? Yes, that. We focus a little bit more on selling that, while the medical aspects, we just focus on saying, these are the options you have, this is the quality we have. But we sell both aspects. And I think, coming from a background of the NHS where you really didn't need to sell or it was actually looked down upon, it's a big change. Yeah, so you need to be confident in yourselves. You need to know your ability, your results, and be confident in your training. And if that's the case, there's nothing wrong with putting that out there and helping the patients make a decision.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in the NHS feel somewhat stuck because it's like they don't want to sell themselves, but also they're sitting there whilst they're super specialized in something, and then their colleagues may be in the same specialty but not specialized in that treatment.
Yeah.
They're getting the same patients for that treatment they're specialized in. They think, oh, like I want to be seeing that, and that I'm more specialized, but then I can't sell myself, and then so they're stuck in that sort of loop, and they're not getting to actually do more of the things they enjoy or super specialized in because they don't know how to promote themselves, and they see a lot of the patients that should be going to them going to somebody else who's less specialized. So yeah.
100%. I'll tell you example, varicose veins. So general surgeons do varicose veins, some cosmetologists do varicose veins, but as a vascular surgeon, you're trained, you know the anatomy, the physiology, you're able to do the imaging yourself, you're able to understand the imaging, and you're able to know what could go wrong, and if it went wrong, how to fix it. While others, most of the time, will be able to stick a laser in and sort the thing out. So you need to sell that aspect and let the patient know that these are the total skills that you have compared to what is out there. So I think that's important, not just as a sales to bring your patients in, but also to help the patients to pick the right person to go to.
100%. Amazing. Cool. But yeah, that's everything. Amazing. Thank you for your time.
Excellent.
Amazing. Amazing. But yeah, cool. That's the vibe. It's like, I'm just, like the audience is therefore just like a lot of private doctors who are just stuck. Like they want to sort of transition from just to private work, but they're not really sure how to. And so that's kind of like, are they like, And so that's basically what we're trying to give them, like free educational value. And then obviously they want to work with us, they can work with us on top of that. But I think seeing other doctors who have already gone through that process and hearing their insights kind of obviously really helpful for them. So thank you obviously for sharing whatever you've learned.